And like I said, Damiano, you're going to talk us through pathways as well, but what happens after you create a pathway as well? How do we really get people to complete, engage? So the floor and the screen are all yours, Damiano.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gary. Just let me share the screen. Uh, there we go. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you, Rebecca and Anna Maria, for your insightful presentations. My name is Damiano, and I've been working at Skilla as a senior account manager for 6 years. And when Gary talked to me about this webinar, I wanted to give it a little bit of a different approach in terms of our presentation, because at Skilla, not only do we have a high quality catalog of the chef courses, but we also specialize in helping corporate academies design the training pathways and the training strategies in a very broad way. And so I wanted to have I'm just going to take 10 minutes in this presentation to show you a little bit some of the tips that we always suggest to our clients, whether they are a new corporate academy or a very established one, or they just want to reposition themselves, or they just want to do something really nice for a specific program. And to start with, what I think and we think it's the best starting point whenever you want to create a pathway is to focus on why and not on the subject matter. So there's always an initial situation and there's always a desired situation. And in between these two situations, there's a gap. So there's a problem we want to solve. For example, our young managers are very demotivated. Okay, so this is the current situation. How do we reach a situation where we motivate our young managers? Could it be training, or could it be better incentives, better salaries, better working conditions? If it is training, let's focus on this gap and see um, how we can fill it with some training. So it's very important to know that training is not always the answer, but when it is, we need to really focus and keep in mind that we are working towards filling up the gap of the situation. For example, we have a new software in the company, and many of our many of our employees are not able to use it. So we need to create a training on this. Why? Because we want to solve a problem. So this is something that we need to keep in our minds whenever we design a learning path, a pathway. Sometimes it's very easy for us to make the mistake on focusing on what we need to teach, but the important is why we need to do it. So so it's really important to shift the focus from the subject matter to the purpose and the impact of our training. With that said, I'm gonna go through some tips, and many of these have already been presented by Rebecca and Anna in their presentations, but I'm just gonna go through all of them to give you more of a global view on the subject. And so, once I found the gap that I need to fill, I found the training that I want to do and I want to design. It's really important to set SMART goals. So it's important, for example, to involve the key stakeholders in collaborative goal setting workshops, for example, if we are talking about managers or a specific category. And it's also important to break down larger goals into smaller milestones and celebrate achievements, whether it's possible. And also use the data analytics that you can get from the platforms, also from the HowNow platform, to see how the project is going. Because something really nice about e-learning is that these tend to be very agile projects. So we've seen it with many of our clients. Sometimes we launch an e-learning initiative, and after a few months, we see that it's not going as we expected. So why not doing a relaunch or reposition the training? So it's important to monitor these goals. And the goals are both on the training level and on the purpose level. So am I solving the problem for which I designed the training? And other goals are people completing the training? Are people passing the final tests and quizzes? Another, and of course, but here about this, Rebecca and Anna spoke about and gave really good insights on how to design your pathway. Of course, use high quality content and a good mix of variety to cater to all of the learning styles. And you can access content from off-the-shelf libraries like Skilla or even Dizzy or Rebecca's content, but it's also important to also use your own content. So if something that you're not able to create an e-learning course in a Gamify, you can also create a nice PowerPoint presentation that you can put next to the content that you get from a platform like HowNow, for example. It's also important to have a structured and cohesive pathway. So make sure there's also recurrences in terms of activities, in terms of branding, and even the pathway needs to be divided into smaller chunks. So for the user itself, himself or herself, it's also easier to go through the different milestones. And very importantly, make sure the people find the time to complete their pathway. And if they don't find it, make sure you also involve their managers, because as you know, some of the obstacles within an organization is that sometimes managers think that training is a lose of is time lost. So it's really important to involve them also in the training project and to make sure time is allocated to training. Another very important thing when you design your pathway is that you must make sure with everything you can to make sure that it's to highlight how the pathway is aligned with your organization strategy, because we're all working towards one goal, which is the business goal. And of course, also the personal growth of each employee. But it's really important to try to integrate the training pathway into existing learning or development programs and reinforce the connection between the company's strategic direction. For example, we've worked with a shoe company in Italy who needed to digitalize their stores as much as possible. And so we worked on lots of digital trainings, but not because they just wanted people to be more digital, but because that was the goal in the next 3 years, to be more digitalized and to increase the profits coming from the online marketplace. And also work on some sort of rewards. So if you see that someone is really good in the training and they're really making progress, align also with the organization strategy, why not feature these as champions in the organization? But of course, this depends on the training topic. And very important also the communication campaign. So if you work in L&D, you know that you need to sell the training to your people. You need to create a buzz around the training. You can so it's very important to have a nice design, a nice communication campaign. You can implement a countdown strategy and make sure you utilize the internal communication channels as well. So the communication team should be your ally always. So this is something really important that we see with corporate academies. A nice step that some corporate academies can do in order to evolve into a more efficient corporate academy is to make sure that they create like a good bond between the L&D department and the communication department. So it should not be the communication department that does me a favor and help me with the communication campaign, but it should be part of their job as well. So that's also like part of the of giving importance to your corporate academy. And Anna Maria and Rebecca mentioned it as well, the storytelling. Storytelling, it's so powerful, especially now that we are doing lots of e-learning courses. It's important to give some emotion to the story. And so it's important to identify the right storytelling for your audience. It can be an internal storyteller or an external storyteller. For example, we are working a lot with people from sports, from music, theater, and we use, for example, we are working with a professional dancer who help us in the public speaking training parts. And with the metaphor of a professional passion, how to be on stage, she helps people on, giving you the right emotions in order to conquer the stage and how to be on the stage, no matter if you're speaking at a convention or you're doing beautiful ballet. So it's really nice to also focus on people's passions through the storytelling. And of course, gamification rewarding, that's also very important. And this also, I mean, it really depends by the training pathway you want to launch. But if there is a possibility of working towards some gamification process, this is very important. And it's not just having interactive courses, which, that you will find in all high quality learning courses that you find in the market, which are all very interactive. But it's important also to design a gamification campaign, um, and also being able to link it to your goals. For example, am I doing a pathway on sustainability? Why not finding some rewards linked to sustainability goals, for example? So this is also very, very important. And the gamification is also really good and goes hand by hand with the communication campaign because it helps keeping the engagement level very up. And this is it for me.